From our studios in Scottsdale, Arizona, this is Retirement News Online. So many successful business owners reach a point where traditional retirement plans alone may not be enough to manage taxes, build wealth efficiently, or reward key talent. Now, one idea is cash balance plans. They can be a powerful strategy, but only when they're designed and integrated correctly. Here to talk about it is Kenny Uhlich with Actus Capital Management, a member of Advisory Services Network, LLC in Mandeville, Louisiana. Kenny, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
How do you, when you're working with a business owner, how do you determine if, for example, a cash balance plan is something that's appropriate for them?
Yeah, so whenever we're working with any of our businesses, I go back to philosophy. Guiding principles, first and foremost, are we want to be able to preserve the value of the business as best we can. We want to be able to grow the value of that business, and then we want to help them exit for the highest and the best possible price. Those three factors. So the installation of a cash balance plan is always going to be inside the context of a business owner that's already highly profitable. And oftentimes what I find is that a lot of business owners have neglected to put money aside for themselves, because so much has already gone into their business.
Right.
So the idea of a cash balance plan allows them to finally put away the type of money that's meaningful on a tax-deferred basis out of the profits of the business, save significant amount of money on taxes, and then begin to store some money away for retirement purposes for themselves, and also taking care of some of the key people as well.
You know, and you're talking about a very successful, profitable business
That's
owner.
Right.
Do you find that those people are also the least likely to do enough tax planning and things like that in many ways?
Typically so. What we find is that they've been having conversations with a number of professionals asking, like, where can we find ways to save more in taxes? And they're given the same strategies over and over again. Go buy a car, go buy more equipment. Well, what happens when you've run out of CapEx? Right? What happens when you don't have any other places to start finding those tax deductions? Well, that's when you have to begin to utilize things that have been enshrined inside the planning and inside the code for years that most people think are beyond them, or at least a lot of other advisors might actually have told them those things aren't for you because they simply don't know the intricacies of how they need to be designed to apply for a multitude of different businesses.
And, you know, depending on a business's size, and how often can you take somebody who's like a business owner who's doing everything?
Sure.
Right? They're afraid to even take a vacation, to get them to the point where it's sort of work optional for them. How do you, because I know that's something that you really believe in.
Right.
That's where they become the CEO and they kind of step back and they can work when they want. Talk about that process. Where does that start?
So about 7 or 8 years ago, I became an exit planner.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest crises right now that's going on among entrepreneurs is that they don't know how they're going to be able to exit. And so one of the things that we always have a conversation with our business owners about is how do you become inconsequential to your business? Because that's where real value is obtained, is when you can step away, like you said, and take a month off and find that your operation is still running better than it was when you walked away. That's when you know you're able to get the highest and the best amount of value and walk away. So those are all important pieces to a really well-designed process that we take people through called exit planning. Like, what are the things that the key value drivers that we need to begin installing so that you can become inconsequential and walk away from your business at some point?
Do you find that a lot of business owners, they just have this sort of loose idea that when I want to get out, I'm just going to sell it?
Sure.
It's a lot more complex than that, isn't it?
It absolutely is. I mean, you've got to consider the structure of your business. Is the structure of your business right now the most tax efficient? So we have to bring in other advisors and have conversations around how you should consider the sale of your business. A quick little story. This is not a client of mine. Somebody that came to me, they were actually trying to sell a business over in Maryland for about $22 million. And they called me and they said, can we sell this business for $22 million? I said, sure you can. They said, but the problem that we have, Kenny, is that we're a C corporation. They were going to pay almost $11.5 million in taxation, walking away from the business. Now, had their other CPAs and advisors had these conversations with them a year prior, they could have saved millions of dollars in taxes. So it just goes to show that just because you have people in place, it doesn't mean that those are the people that need to be shepherding you through the exit.
I guess finally, what do you think, just talking to business owners watching this right now, what is the biggest misconception they have about business planning, financial planning, and their own retirement planning?
I would say that it isn't just about the business itself right now. It's about how it integrates into your personal life. You've been using this business to drive every other element of your entire life. So how we go about these next 5 years, as we begin to think about whether you're just getting started or you're planning on exiting, if you look at this in a 5-year runway, we can begin to have real conversations about maximizing growth, maximizing value, so that we can really begin to think about how we're going to exit for the best possible price.
That's Kenny Uhlich in Mandeville, Louisiana. Thanks for watching. This is Retirement News Online.